Hello everyone, this is Rob, the Baseball Time Traveler. Thanks very much for joining me today. We're going to go back to 1964, the World Series between the Cardinals and the Yankees. And we're going to focus on Game 7, but I want to bring you through the entire World Series because it was quite an event. I remember this as a 9-year-old kid, and the three names that really stuck out to me that at that time and still are firmly entrenched in my memory bank is a guy named Ken Boyer, Mickey Mantle, and Bob Gibson. Those three players really stood out in my mind. So you're going to see a little more of a focus on them as we go through this. But you're going to see a lot of cards, and we're going to try and bring you through each game and give you some of the exciting highlights of each game. So let's get started. First, we're going to open up with the yearbooks, and we're going to show you the team photos. This would be the New York Yankees 1964 Topps card. And the 1964 St. Louis Cardinals team card. Now, during for the 1965 series or set, the Topps company did a series of 8 cards commemorating the 1964 World Series. You see 6 of the 8 cards there. We're going to go through these cards as they apply to each game, and we'll take a look at actually some of the cards that I have acquired over the time. Now, before we get going on the actual World Series, I just want to go through a little bit of background here. This is a photograph and a Topps card taken in 1959. This would be the 1960 card, Rivals All-Stars. And here's the actual card that I have, depicting Mickey Mantle on the left and Ken Boyer on the right. Obviously, everybody who's watching this would know that. Okay. And here are the two gentlemen 4 years later, before the World Series starts in 1964. I would imagine this would be Game 1 because they're at Sportsman's Park, and you can see Ken Boyer's in his home red cap, and Mickey's wearing his away uniform there. This World Series also highlighted two brothers playing third base for their respective teams. On the left is Clete Boyer, and on the right is Ken Boyer. And here is Clete Boyer's card. And we can't leave out Ken Boyer. Now we move to Game 1. And you see here Mike Shannon has hit a home run. That was one of the highlights of the game. The Cardinals won this game 9-5. They had 12 hits, and Shannon hit this home run in the 6th inning. This game really was a highlight in the respect that if you look at the card there, you'll see Whitey Ford walking off the mound, or at least probably going to pick up the rosin bag as Shannon takes off to round the bases after hitting the home run. This was Whitey Ford's last appearance in a World Series, and he had compiled quite a World Series career over his time with the Yankees. He pitched in 22 World Series games and had 10 wins, and he holds the record, I think it still stands, where he pitched over a course of a World Series 33 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings. So Hall of Famer Whitey Ford, this again was his last appearance. He was pretty beat up at the end of this season. I think he had some shoulder problems, so he did not pitch again in this particular World Series. Now we move to Game 2, and while Whitey Ford is moving toward the end of his career, now we have rookie Mel Stottlemyre pitching for the Yankees. He starts against Bob Gibson in this game, and Mel had compiled a 9-3 record after being called up from the minors in August. So he had quite a hot streak going, and he actually completed an 8-3 complete game victory over Bob Gibson. And here's a picture of Roger Maris sliding in to score the final run of the game. Here's Tim McCarver waiting for the ball, which is a little bit late. Now we move to Game 3. And we have our starting pitcher is Jim Bouton, who's in his, I believe, 3rd year at this point. and he is the starting pitcher. Now they're in Yankee Stadium, and he's going against Curt Simmons. And here is the Young Aces card that you see up there on the screen. And in Game 3, Bouton pitches a 6-hitter. It's quite a pitching duel between he and Curt Simmons. And the highlight of this game was that Mickey Mantle hit a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 9th inning. And he hit this home run off of Barney Schultz. And we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about this particular Topps card toward the end of the video. But the photograph on the left is the actual home run that Mickey hit. And as I said, he hit this off of Barney Schultz, who was a reliever for the Cardinals. And here's Mickey rounding the bases, and the Yankees now take a 2-1 lead in the series, winning this game 2-1. Now we move to Game 4, and this is a highlight for Ken Boyer, who you saw a little bit earlier. The Yankees scored 3 in the first inning, and Al Downing was the starting pitcher, and he was pitching quite well for the first 5 innings. And then in the 6th inning, the Cardinals were able to load the bases, and Ken Boyer came up, and essentially some people argue this was not only the turning point in the game, but the turning point in the World Series. Ken Boyer unloads and hits a grand slam home run. And here's the card. And there's a couple of photographs of Ken being greeted by his teammates, Curt Flood, Dick Groat, and Carl Warwick. Here's just a quick flash forward here, if you will. I actually watched this. This is Al Downing again, giving up another key home run. This happened to be to none other than the home run king, Henry Aaron. As you see there in the photograph, Henry's rounding the bases after launching a home run over the fence, left center field. And I remember watching this game on TV. I was in college at the time, and it was quite an exciting thing to see. So Al has been on the losing end of a couple of key hits in baseball history. Now we'll go back to 1964. And this would be Game 5. And in Game 5, Bob Gibson returns, and this time we're in Yankee Stadium. And Bob Gibson, I saw a very interesting statistic, and it was quite impressive, frankly. In his career, he amassed 251 victories. But what was even more amazing to me was that he threw 255 complete games. So this was a pitcher who knew how to finish a game and did it quite well. And in this particular game, he finished this game as well, and it actually went 10 innings. The Yankees scored 2 in the bottom of the 9th to tie the game, but then in the 10th, 2 Cardinals got on board, Dick Groat and Bill White, and then Tim McCarver proceeded to hit a 10th inning home run, which proved to be the difference in the ball game. And there's Tim McCarver's 1964 Topps card. Okay, next we move to Game 6, and this is Jim Bouton returning, and Jim throws another very, very good game. The game here is highlighted by 3 players who had decided to take the victory into their own hands by popping some long shots out of Yankee Stadium. And the first one would be, they're in Sportsman Park at this point. And this would be Roger Maris hits a home run, and this is in the 6th inning. He leads off And there's Rogers' 1964 Topps card. And he is followed by the gentleman you see in the on-deck circle there, number 7, Mickey Mantle. And I think the next shot that you're going to see, this is Mickey unloading on the home run, but this one was one of my favorite shots of that home run. The fans are all looking up at the ball launching over right center field, and Mickey's looking up at it, and here's his card. And to finish off the game, Joe Pepitone in the 8th inning comes up and with the bases loaded uncorks a grand slam home run. And there's Joe's card. Now we move to Game 7. October 15th, 1964, Sportsman's Park, St. Louis, Missouri. You got the scoreboard all ready to go. You've got the fans milling outside, ready to enter the stadium. And now let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Yankees. And I'll show you some of the cards. Some you've already seen. You got starting at shortstop, Phil Linz. Bobby Richardson at second base. Hitting third, Roger Maris. In right field. In center field, Mickey Mantle. Behind the plate, Elston Howard. At first base, Joe Pepitone. And at shortstop, in left field, Tom Tresh. And Clete Boyers at third base. And the starting pitcher is Mel Stottlemyre. As I mentioned, he's a rookie, so he doesn't have a 64 card. But here's Mel's 1965 Topps card. And now we'll take a look at the Cardinals. Their starting lineup in center field, Curt Flood. At first base, Bill White. You're going to see Lou Brock a little bit later. Batting fifth, Dick Groat. Longtime Pirate and great player. Next, Del Maxville. Okay, now we'll go to the game. Bob Gibson is throwing for the Cardinals, and Mel Stottlemyre is on the mound for the Yankees. And Bob, it's a great photograph. There's some really great photographs of Bob Gibson pitching throughout the years. I mean, this guy was one heck of a thrower, and talk about intimidating. And he would literally almost fall right off the mound. He was throwing so hard. In fact, while we've got it, let's take a look at Bob Gibson's 64 card here. Now in the rematch here, this was Gibson's third start, and he only had 2 days rest after winning Game 5. And the story is that he was actually pitching quickly to hide fatigue from the Yankees. And the Cards, during the course of the first few innings, they scored 3 runs in the 4th. And then in the 5th inning, Lou Brock comes up and hits a 3-run home run. And here's Lou's 64 Topps card. And in the upper right, that would have been what have Topps had a traded set back then, probably what his card would have looked like back then. I don't have a 65 card, but I do have a 67, so I hope you'll forgive me here for replacing there. So Lou hits that 3-run home run, puts the Cardinals up 6-0. Gibson continues to throw heat. But then he faces a guy by the name of Mickey Mantle. And number 7, you might recall from back in Game 3, hit that walk-off home run off of Marnie Schultz. Well, now Mickey shows that he can throw off a Hall of Fame caliber pitcher as well. So he launches from the left-hand side of the plate. It's an opposite field home run. And there it is. There's the picture. Now I want you to take a look at this card again. All right, we're back to Game 3. Does anything look familiar to you? So we're going to take a closer look here. I'm going to actually show you the card. And if you look, before I show you the card, notice the backstop. Notice some of the fans in the background there. There's a gentleman there with some glasses, actually on both sides, and then there's a lady to the left wearing a white dress. And there's a gentleman there with a fedora on. And now take a look at the card. And if you notice, Gibson is pitching in this one. And if you look closely at the card, try and come in here, Tim McCarver's actually making a catch of the ball, which I thought was pretty fascinating. So we've got Game 3, walk-off home run, but in reality, it was a home run hit by Mickey Mantle, 3-run shot in Game 7. So the score goes to 6-3 at that point. Cardinals add one more. Gibson continues to throw. Isn't that a great shot right there? The crowd fuzzed out in the back. So we come to later in the game, and Clete Boyer hits a home run, solo home run. And as he rounds the bases, his brother Ken acknowledges it. Kind of getting to nervous time. We have 2 outs in the 9th, and we got a 7-4 lead now. And then Phil Linz comes up to lead off batter, and he proceeds to hit another home run. So now the score is 7-5. But Bob Gibson does not give up. He loves to complete games, and he finishes the game. Cards win 7-5. And there's the card to the left commemorating the victory. And if you'll notice real quickly, he's wearing a blue cap. So again, we've got a card in this set that doesn't match up with the actual game itself. But that's okay. It's still a good-looking card. And we'll take a look at it right here. Okay. So the Cardinals are celebrating. It's a great time. And there's another card that I don't have. But if you take a close look there, that must be, I tried to find this actual photograph, couldn't find it, but I'm imagining this was a photograph of the Cardinals celebrating their victory last day of the season against the Mets to win the pennant, because they're wearing their navy blue hats and they've got some windbreakers on. Doesn't look at all like what the celebration is there in the big picture. All right, now we have an epilogue, and I'm going to move this along because the tape's going pretty long here. Well, we've got 2 managers here, Johnny Keane and Yogi Berra. Interesting story here. The day after the series was over, Johnny Keane hands in his resignation. A few days later, he's hired by the Yankees to become their manager because they had fired Yogi Berra, who then moved over to the Mets and was a longtime coach with the Mets. Hall of Famer, Yogi Berra. And this was really Bob Gibson's coming out party. He'd been in the league 4 or 5 years at this point. Everybody knows his beautiful rookie card, which I have yet to acquire. Probably we never will. But he had a fantastic series, really showed some strength and determination. With only 2 days rest, came back after winning Game 5. He wins Game 7, and he wins the MVP. And here's another look at his 1964 Topps card. And we go to Ken Boyer, who was named the National League MVP, and who many of you, and I'm included in that group, think should be seriously considered for the Hall of Fame. He had a heck of a career and put up some wonderful statistics, great leader. He won the Lou Gehrig Award in 1964 for integrity. So this is one man that really deserves serious consideration. And I know this is a long time ago, 60 years ago now since this World Series, but hopefully someday Ken Boyer may make it into the Hall of Fame. And here's his 1957 Topps card, just for old time's sake. And we're going to conclude with a few things on one of my favorite players, and I know the hobby favorite. This was Mickey Mantle's final appearance in a World Series. The Yankees didn't come back to the World Series until 1976 when they played the Cincinnati Reds. But Mick hit 3 home runs during this series, in Game 3, Game 6, and in Game 7. And his 18 home runs in the World Series is still a record to this day. And for all of you who have a few extra dollars, if you want to acquire Mickey's jersey, his away jersey from this World Series, you may be able to buy it for $1.5 million. And I'd like to just show you a 66 card from Mickey's days. So the Cardinals won the World Series Championship 1964, and here's their 1965 Topps card commemorating that victory. And I want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch today. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you next time.